what's up? So yeah, this is technically a face reveal video, and I was originally gonna wait, but I just decided to do it now, mainly because it's just easier to use the Blue Yeti microphone when you can get really up close to it. I know that someone mentioned that in a previous video, so yeah, it's whatever. I never really wanted to hype it up or anything, so let's just get right into tonight's video. So I'm actually going to do a science-y related reading, and I'm going to be reading off of the website called imaginethat.org. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be taking a quiz. We're going to see whether something is science fiction or science fact. So I'll just read the recap on the website. Science fiction has a long history, and over the years, what we read or saw in sci-fi often later turned into sci-fact, which pretty much means that science fiction concepts eventually came true due to the increase in technology and stuff like that. And it gives an example. The first actual rocket that reached space, for instance, was in 1942. But the first story about traveling by rocket into outer space goes back to at least the 1890s. So we're going to look at some other facts, and we are going to see whether they are science fiction or science fact. Let's get into the first one. The Jetsons and the robot vacuum. Sci-fi or sci-fact? So, this is talking about the show, The Jetsons, and in that show, they had a robot vacuum, which was a part of the show. And the science says that that would be a science fact. Now, we're not saying that the Roomba people copied the Jetsons, but science fiction certainly had the idea down long before the first Roomba bounced off its first chair leg. I think I'm pronouncing that right. Next one. The hoverboard from Back to the Future. Sci-fi or sci-fact? It says science fact. Partially. Partially, yes, because that is a hoverboard up there. The Lexus Slide, that is, I'll put a picture of it on the screen, but that is an actual working hoverboard. So that's why it says partially yes, the hoverboard from Back to the Future would be a science fact. However, it also says partially no, because it only works where it's hovering in that picture. A track with a permanent magnet built in is pretty much what's being seen. And the Lexus isn't selling it, at least not yet, so it's not for sale. So don't let your inner Marty McFly get too carried away. I'm reading off the website right now. Okay. Now how about Tony Stark's Iron Man armor? Sci-fi or sci-fact? The site says science fact. Soon. The suit is still in the development stage, but it will be powered and armored. It will make the soldier wearing it stronger and more mobile, and the helmet which goes with it will be loaded with communications and sensor gear. And if all goes well, maybe later this year, U.S. Special Operations will be testing it out. And then in parentheses it says, by the way, we're going to say that the real science fiction prototype for this is actually Robert Heinlein's Starship Troopers. The book, not the movie. Now the next one. The speeder bikes from Star Wars. Is that science fiction or a science fact? And the site says, science fact. I don't know if all of these are science facts. I didn't read this before, so I'm just going along with what we are seeing. It says that would be science fact, though you wouldn't be flying them on Endor unless you know where Endor is. But you could buy an Aero X here on Earth. I guess that would be the real version of the speeder bikes from Star Wars, that we have something very similar like that called the Aero X. I'm not sure how that's pronounced, but I'm just going to go Aero X. Flying up to 10 feet off the ground at 45 miles per hour, the Aero X is a surface effect craft that rides like a motorcycle, an off-road vehicle that lets you get off the ground because it responds to your movements just as a motorcycle would. The Aero X is intuitive to fly. Even an Ewok can do it. No blaster cannon though, sorry. I hope that you all know that I'm reading these puns off the website. I'm not just coming up with these horrible puns. Okay. Now it says the Wonka vision. Oh, as in Willy Wonka, it's the Divi Camera shrink ray in Willy Wonka. Sci-fi or sci-fact. And the website says it's a science fact. Well, kind of. You can't shrink a person, but now you can shrink a robot. The Wonks, no relation to Willy Wonka, at MIT, have come up with a shrink technique, and it even uses a ray, in this case, a laser. So, you build a small robot, encase it in gel, turn that ray onto the gel and shrink it, and your small robot becomes a very tiny robot. Very tiny, as in you could shrink something 1,000 times down to 1 millimeter. That's about 0.04 inches. Tiny as in you could use it to deliver drugs to a specific spot in the body where treatment is needed. Okay, that's good. I thought that was going somewhere else. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Okay, the last one. The Star Trek Replicator. Sci-fact or sci-fi? And as a description, this was the device that uses energy to turn matter into other kinds of matter, making food, clothing, drinks, tools, and it was on the original Star Trek. It was called a synthesizer and only made food. That one would be sci-fi. That's why there is no picture or anything that can be shown of the replicator today, because it does not exist. And then it says if you want to press a button and get a slice of pizza, you'll have to use the microwave. But without the futuristic materials, aka plastics and fuels that are made possible by petrochemicals, none of these ideas would have moved from science fiction to science fact. So that is all I got. I know that this was more of a shorter video, but hopefully I can do some more stuff like this in the future. Maybe I could dive into some more serious, realistic, sciencey things, or I could just talk about interesting facts. But yeah, I'm glad I tried this. I did not read read any of this site before I started recording, so I'm sorry that I had to read all of those horrible puns throughout the video. I was not expecting that. Making me look bad on camera. But yeah, that's all, and thank you for watching.